A reading from the Gospel according to Matthew. While Jesus was saying these things to them, suddenly a leader of the synagogue came in and knelt before him, saying, "My daughter has just died, but come, lay your hand on her, and she will live." Jesus got up and followed him with his disciples. Then suddenly a woman who had been suffering from hemorrhages for 12 years came up behind him and touched the fringe of his cloak. For she said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be made well." Jesus turned and, seeing her, said, "Take heart, daughter, your faith has made you well." And instantly the woman was made well. When Jesus came to the leader's house and saw the flute players and the crowd making a commotion, he said, "Go away, for the girl is not dead, but sleeping." And they laughed at him. But when the crowd had been put outside, he went in, took her by the hand, and the girl got up. And the report of this spread throughout that district. The word of the Lord. This reading is part of a series of readings, a theme that we have been hearing in the Gospel, and particularly in chapter 9 of the Gospel according to Matthew, about the importance of not Jesus' power to heal and do miracles, but about the importance of our faith. Now, it would be an oversimplification and misleading to say, if you just have enough faith, Jesus will heal you and make you well. While I have heard many a story of a great miracle, and many that it's far from me to be able to explain, I also know the danger in teaching from the church that if you just have enough faith in Jesus, that you will be granted a miracle. The downside, the harmful side of that, of course, is the faithful person who does genuinely pray, does genuinely believe and love in Jesus and have faith, and then doesn't get that miracle. The author Philip Yancey tells the story in his book, Where is God When It Hurts? And he tells the story about being a young child when his father was sick, and his church telling him that if you just believe, if you have enough faith, God will heal your father. And he tried with all his might to be faithful enough, but his father died. And it left him feeling like his faith just hadn't been good enough, or his father wasn't worthy enough of God's love, of Jesus' love. And there's something broke within him. And it took a long time to heal and recover from that. So we need to be very wary of this when we're talking about the importance of your faith and Jesus using miracles as an illustration for that. But through this miracle story, these miracle stories of the woman being healed and the young girl being raised from the dead, and other miracle stories that we will hear in chapter 9 of the Gospel according to Matthew, Jesus is using those miracles as an illustration to talk about the importance and the power of your faith. Now, I know how much faith has made a difference in my life. I know how it's led me to be a better person. It's challenged me to be a better person. It's given me comfort when I was low. It's healed me and those I love when we needed it. Maybe not in such obvious, overt ways, but it's been healing to have faith. And what we hear in these two stories linked together is a story of a man who has such faith in Jesus that he knows, he doesn't doubt for 1 minute that Jesus' love is there for his daughter. And we hear the story of the woman. We hear the story of the woman who has such faith in Jesus that he says, it is your faith that has made you well. It is your faith that has led you to healing, that has made you complete. And that sometimes the people around you won't support you in that faith. The man whose daughter has just died. Keep in mind, it says the crowds were laughing. They didn't They didn't believe, they didn't have faith. But the man's faith was enough that he didn't need the faith of everyone around him in order to make it possible to draw close to God and to have that kind of healing relationship with God. That's the same lesson for us that we need to hang on to. The idea that your faith will play an important role in your life. To help you be more completely you, to help remind you of your worthiness of being loved. And that even if you're surrounded by crowds of people who don't have that faith, yours can be enough. I have certainly found in my own life times where I was surrounded by people who didn't trust, who didn't have the faith, and they weren't there for me to support me along the way. But I found that my trust in God got me through. And I do wish that for all of you. I do wish that for all of us, to be reminded of the importance of drawing closer to God, particularly in the hard times. And that even if you don't get a miracle healing story like the granting of a wish, you can trust that God is present and is with you through all of the highs and lows in your life. Thanks be to God. Amen.